Apparently, I've been up to nothing, like nothing.
The show has some degree of drama and intensity, and for most of the season,
Pot of beans.
why wouldn't they tell us all forms of funny stories like snakes swallowed money and rats became an army of giants and invaded Asorok?
Anyway, enough said. I want to hear your own experience.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Pot of Beans podcast. My name is Afro Wendy, and I'm excited to have you here today. Hi guys, welcome to another exciting episode of the Pot of Beans podcast. My name is Afro Wendy, and I'm really excited to have you here today. Today we have a very special guest. She is a nutritionist, and she is popularly known as the Geeky Nutritionist. So Uju, you are welcome to the Pot of Beans podcast.
Thank you, Afro Wendy. It's a pleasure being on the show.
And it's a pleasure having you too. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation. Before we start, how have you been?
Oh, well, I've been fine. Just here, doing my thing during this COVID-19 period. I mean, I know it's like a very funny phase for everybody. I mean, everybody's feeling the heat one way or the other. But, you know, we're surviving. Every day has been a journey, a process. And I am making it. I'm making it. I'm definitely making it. So it's been exciting since this period, and yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's so exciting to hear. I'm really glad that you're fine. Okay, Uju actually is a graduate of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and she is a first-class graduate. Can you feel that?
Oh my god! As if you're not a first-class graduate, I beg you.
Okay. So Uju, let's get right into it. So Uju, I sent you the topic, and it is first class devaluation. Usually Nigerians use the 5.0 grading system, and to be considered a first class graduate, you have to have 4.5 to 5.0 CGPA. So the bone of contention, or what we are trying to discuss here today, is that usually most first class graduates are no longer rated. Like, okay, you graduated with first class, so what? It's almost like, okay, that's it, you're now on your own. So it goes right from the fact that even when you're graduating, you know, they don't recognize you, maybe your department don't recognize you, nobody even sends you. It says, okay, you've worked hard for the first class, yeah, take it, I'll be going. So Uju, one thing is, do you agree that first class graduates aren't really rated anymore?
Is it okay to say 101% here, or is there like another percent apart from 101%? I mean, it's like a very general issue. I mean, in Nigeria, first class graduates are not valued anymore. That's just like a general thing.
Yeah.
I can't even probably say there's any school that's still like, you know, giving first class graduates a particular preference, or any organization. I don't really know, but I don't think so. I think it's just a general thing.
Yes. And even in the workplace, they no longer consider grade. So that should tell you something. That should tell you that, okay, your grade is worthless. What we want is your skills. And what is actually disheartening, one of the reasons why I wanted us to have this conversation, is that people don't really think that first class graduates have any skills. They usually think that, oh, it's all about the books. You just went to cram. You are just empty after that. So why do you think they have that assumption?
Oh, okay. This particular statement is something I'm still going through. Like, every time I tell people, oh, I made a first class, or maybe something came up and maybe during the conversation, oh, I'm like, I made a first class. Oh, wow, we don't look like it. Oh, wow, we don't behave like it. Oh, wow. And I'm like, hello, people. Is there like a particular way first class graduates supposed to behave? Or is there a particular thing they do they are specially meant for, and they're not supposed to like do this? And I'm like, somebody sees me do something. Oh, maybe I said, I made an ebook for something, and I'm like, I created the ebook. Oh, wow, you can create an ebook. I didn't even know people like you create an ebook. And I'm like, I'm sorry, excuse me, like, I don't understand what's going on here. So it's like very disheartening, because and I think personally, okay, this is what I think personally is the problem, or rather the issue. You know, back in school, I'm going to talk about my own personal experience, and then I will tell you why I think this is what could have been the problem. Now, back in school, my own personal experience, from the very first time I got into school, I always knew I wanted a first class. Like, it was just something, not because and it wasn't for me. It wasn't because probably it would give me a better chance in the job market or something. It was more like a childlike thing of, I felt like it's going to be a gift for my mom. I just wanted to give it to her as a gift for a lot of sacrifices she has done for me. I felt like it wasn't about me. That was even very honest truth. Okay. So now getting into school and like you said, I graduated from UNN. So, and then the whole system is like tough. I mean, even people that made a 2-1 in University of Nigeria and Nsukka would attest to the fact that it's not easy. I mean, it's a pot of beans over there too. So basically, and then I had to really cut down on a number of things because I knew that this is what I wanted. So I wouldn't even think, my social life then was so like top notch. That's very honest truth, because the truth is, I tell people every single day, I tell people that is the very honest truth, and it works for me in every sphere. For you to gain something, you must have lost something. It sounds like is it not possible? It sounds somehow, but that's the for every single thing you have ever achieved, for every single success, for every single, there was something that was lost. It's like it's life. It's a law of exchange. I mean, it's a principle. Something, even at least I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus, so I'm just going to bring this in here. Christ died for us Christians to have life. So it's just like a principle of life. There has to be something that has to go for something else to come. So now bringing this to my whole experience in school, I knew that I had to cut down a bit on some certain things if I had to have time for my studies, right? So I couldn't really necessarily have the whole social life. I mean, nobody eats their cake and have it. I'm sorry, that's just the honest truth. You can't, there's just no way to it. So now I'm going to say that I think why most people have this idea that first class graduates do not know any other thing apart from book is that oftentimes during the undergraduate, for some people, or rather maybe for most people, they tend to be so focused on their academics that some other areas are not so dominantly seen. So coming back to me, I realized that I finished school, and then I realized from interaction with people, I realized that there was a lot about me, or an aspect about myself, that most people did not see while in school. Why? Okay. Because I was a bit more like into trying to make sure that my grades do not for any reason suffer. But then I think it created a kind of an image to people that, I was this way, like if it's not book, nothing else is going for this lady. So, and then I'm having conversations with people and they're like, wow, I didn't even know you're this fun. I didn't even know you're this exciting. I didn't even know you're this. And I'm like, oh wow, Jesus Christ. So I was giving a vibe of, if it's not book back in school, then. So in summary of all I'm trying to say is that I think because most times, most first class graduates during the undergraduate program tend to be a bit more focused in academic, it kind of outshadows some certain areas that people feel are also very important. So it makes it look like, they are not good at any other thing. But it's not the case. That's very honest truth. So that's just why I think it is anyways.
Yeah, I know, and there's a lot of truth in what you said. Like you said, in order to gain something, you have to lose something, and that is the honest truth. For me, though, I feel it's kind of a stereotype. Because a very certain vibrant young lady in psychology, then I was like, oh my god, like this girl balances her social life so well, and at the end of the day she finished with a first class, and I was like, wow, this is the school life balance. She's living the dream. So but anyway, some people also have the notion that first class graduates tend to be proud, like in the workplace. So some employers tend to say, I don't want to hire a first class graduate. You people are like proud or pompous or something. But do you think that this notion has affected first class graduates to feign like false modesty? Do you think it has affected them in any way? Say, I don't want to tell people I'm a first class. Let me just feign false modesty and let me not just treat it as an accomplishment or anything, because it is actually an accomplishment.
Of course, right. And I think for me, I know as I am right now, I usually oftentimes don't even bring up this whole I made a first class thing. Okay, because usually oftentimes I find out that when I do, it begins to create a certain kind of image of me towards people. Immediately I mention it, the game changes, right? So sometimes I just try to like, I'm not talking about this. I mean, I'm not even bringing this into this conversation. So it kind of creates this false sense of modesty. negative from me. Even places I feel like, oh, I should mention this. I mean, I think it's good for me to talk about this. I sometimes even just, oh, no, I'm not just going there. I'm not going there. I don't even feel like talking about it, because the reactions sometimes are both a mixture of positive and negative from people. That's a very, very honest truth. Okay.
Yes.
We get a different vibes from people. That's the truth. They feel like, oh, okay, oh wow, you made a first class, so that is why you're not. In fact, I've had it worse to a guy asking me out, and then obviously I refused, and he's like, oh, because you made a first class. But I'm like, oh my God, calm down. It has nothing to. I mean, it's like, so the whole first class thing sometimes even now affects the way they judge us, judge my actions, judge my intent, judge my motives, and I'm like, you're not getting this. In as much as first class is an achievement or an accomplishment, it does not change the me, who I am. And it's very saddening that some people do not even want to get to know you, because this girl, she's not my level. I can't even come. And so I think relating it to the work setting, I think this is also often the case, because they feel like they may not be able to manage the kind of person, a first class graduate is, in quotes. I don't know if you get it, like an invisible in quotes. So I think it's like a whole burden. I mean, it's a blessing and then probably like a burden on its own, honestly speaking, because it gets a whole mixture of vibe, a whole mixture of vibe.
Yes, I get you. And I get the burden part, because I'll tell you this though, when I made a first class, I was so scared. People were making posts like, oh, I graduated. People with 2-1 were more proud of their 2-1 than I was of my first class. You get?
Tell me about it.
No, they were posting it like, so it felt like, oh, you know what? If I post this, they'll be like, she's proud now, or kind of. So I was so cautious. I didn't even post. It was just one place when I told myself an accomplishment and I should be proud, so I should just post and say, I made the first class. My classmates that made 2-1 were proud of their 2-1 than I was of my first class, because of trying to avoid stereotypes or trying to modesty or something, and it is really disheartening. But what do you think should be people's reaction when somebody says, oh, I made a first class?
Generally, people are so focused on this whole first class aspect that it's like, oh, this set of people are this set of ways, right? So I think people should be vocal about their accomplishments, not even just every single accomplishment. And first class, or making a first class in a university, is one of them. I mean, there were a lot of sleepless nights. I mean, there were a lot of sacrifices that had to be made. There would just have to be that extra push. There were just that extra that some people did not make that. First class actually made. I'm saying this with all sense of modesty, but it's the reality of it all. I know it's the plain, clear reality.
Yeah.
I've had a friend, or rather, I have a friend who was so close to making a first class. I mean, her GP was so pretty close. And what I told her sometime before was that if only you gave this thing an extra push, just that extra, just a little bit more. She's already intelligent. I mean, who isn't even intelligent, right? Everybody is. That's the honest truth. I believe everybody has the capacity to get into their head and replicate it back in an exam and all that, right? Everybody has that capacity. That's how I've always believed it. Okay, Albert's probably maybe in different levels or measures because of intelligent quotient and whatnot. So, but then the reality is that there's always that extra push that most people that made a first class gave. So what am I trying to say? I think people should be more vocal about their accomplishments. I think people should be more vocal about their achievements, and that includes making a first class. If you're meeting somebody for the first time, if you're meeting somebody, having a conversation, please, by all means, find a way to chip it in. They could actually get a job for you. Hello. Find a way to sell it up. Like, oh, I made a first class in the University of Nigeria and Soka, that kind of a thing. You just pitch it in. Just find a way to pitch it in the conversation. And they're like, okay, that is interesting. I had a conversation with someone just yesterday about that. A lot of things led to that particular kind of conversation, actually, because I delivered a lecture and the person was like, okay, this is just really, really cool. I mean, the manner in which you delivered it, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, okay, something happened. And I was like, oh, I made a first. We were just having a conversation. And I was like, I pitched it in. And he was like, wow, that is awesome. And the beautiful part of the conversation is that because of the position where this person is, he's in charge of an organization, or he's actually sincerely looking out for opportunities for me, since I mentioned this yesterday. So, but what am I trying to say in essence? let's be more vocal about our accomplishments. In modesty, yes. I mean, with no sense of pride, but we should be just vocal about our achievements. And first class shouldn't be any option. I mean, people get cars and they post it everywhere. People will not hear what. People get married and they post it everywhere. And funny enough, marriage is not even an achievement. I don't even know. But that's anyway topic for another day, right? But the point is, let's be vocal about our achievements. So that's just it.
Yes, and I agree with you 100%. Let us be vocal about an accomplishment. So, Uju, I'm really, really glad that you could join me on this episode. So, can you just tell us where we could find you on social media?
Okay. I'm actually a nutritionist, and like you earlier mentioned, so yes, you can reach out to me at the Geeky Nutritionist on Instagram or Uju Honora on Facebook, but at the Geeky Nutritionist on Instagram or Twitter. There, I just teach people how to make informed decisions about food, making healthy choices about food, and then how to just get it right with their food decisions there on my page. And I would love you guys to join me sometime.
Yes, you guys, please go follow her on social media, chat her up. If you have any food related issues, she's a nutritionist. She can help you plan your diet. So thank you so much, Uju, for joining this episode. So much insight
very much
into this topic. Thank you so much.
Honored.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Guys, thank you. Help me and thank Uju. Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for joining this episode. Don't forget, you can share this episode to your friends. Don't forget to share. Please support this podcast. You can also support this podcast by tipping me on Instagram or on Patreon. I'll drop my link in the description. And also, don't forget, I've activated listener support. So if you're feeling this show, please drop your offerings to the Lord. I've been saying this in all my episodes. And please, I also appreciate your feedback. Leave me a feedback on Anchor or on WhatsApp. I always drop my number in the description. So guys, thank you so much. Uju, thank you so much.
But you hustle for 1 year. Yeah, I made it on one endorsement. 5-point GP from the onset. So you mean still find employment? That be nonsense, but I'm the dumbest. Hello, sub, see the number. I recorded at the concert. Feel the pocket. How you go? They ask me, say what's in the budget. I'm insulted.
Hi, Afro Wendy. Okay, so your name is a mouthful. Let me first say that. Just like you, like your personality, very strong, power-packed name. So this episode here, I had no idea that first class holders were treated like this. Like in my mind, you guys are gods, like mini gods. I had no idea that the part where you said some 2-1 holders at the time you graduated were even proudly flaunting their degrees, and you, a first class graduate, couldn't. That one shocked me because I had no idea. So this episode is one that, really enlightened me. Wow. Nice one. Nice one. Good job.